All right, good evening and welcome to an Evening with Champions. I am your host, Brandon Johnson, and I'm proud to be joined by the undefeated 14-0 state champion Hickory High School varsity girls volleyball team. All right, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight detailing the journeys that these girls took together, and this video is fully interactive. Feel free to post, comment questions, and we'll ask them live. I want to start with the coaches, though. Gus Quinones, Lisa De Santos, Bailey Jones, Tanya Morris. Coaches, congratulations on a great season.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So, Gus, I want to start with you. If at the beginning of the season I told you the Hickory High School varsity girls volleyball team would be undefeated and state champions, you would say?
It's a long season to predict that. This team is very talented, and they've been working. Some of them have been working hard for 4 years now. So I was just very proud to see them get to that level.
Awesome. And what was the journey like? And if you want to pass the mic down to someone, and that's fine, but watching a group of girls grow together throughout the season, because every coach will tell you the team that shows up the first week is not the team that ends the season. What was the process like watching these girls grow to be state champions?
The way they played against when we got to the finals, the regional and the state, you could see that it was a totally different team. But I think they reacted to the challenge that they had. When they saw that a team brought it, they raised their game.
That's it. All right, so Gus is going to highlight everything here. So I want to talk about something real quick, and this is a little bit off topic, but something that in the volleyball world caught my eye. A lot can be said for club volleyball taking over high school volleyball. There's a lot of college recognition in club volleyball. There's a lot more accolades in college volleyball. How do you find it as a challenge, if any, to make sure that they stay motivated for high school ball?
The high school ball is relying a lot on what the travel leagues bring. Our teams are obviously much better because we do have a lot of players that are motivated to play travel. The thing that when I've asked any of these girls about, they love playing in front of their parents. They love playing for their travel teams, but it's not the same as when they play in front of their peers. So they're motivated from wanting to get the victory and watching the Hawks, what we call the Hawks Nest. When they turn around and they cheer and they do any other running up and down the bleachers and down the sides and giving somebody CPR because a person's down on the ground, these kids they play for that.
I'll just say that usually club does not interfere with high school volleyball. The seasons are different. So it was a unique thing this year for them to have to deal with both, but I think they did it, very well, very gracefully. They made it work for both teams without really having to sacrifice too much, and it never hurts. More volleyball, the better.
Awesome. So the next question I have, and again, any coach can answer this. COVID, we can't talk about any decisions that were made, but we can talk about the guidelines that were put into place. And the biggest question I have for every coach I interview: did COVID restrictions and COVID, guidelines put in place for practice hinder anything y'all would normally be able to work on?
We had to get by two very serious situations during the season. It hindered a little bit what we did at practices. We had when Lisa talked about how the travel team interfered with school and school interfered with travel, we made it work because we worked kind of around that and worked the schedules. COVID brought in another challenge in the way that the amount of time we would have to practice, we had to kind of cut it down to an hour and a half instead of 2 hours, which changes the amount of what we work on during practice, what we focus on. How it hinders it definitely changes what you're going to work on during practice. I mean, we have to do more game situation than it was really kind of try to develop the kid. So we ended up playing a season where normally I might have more subs. It allowed me to focus. We talked with the coaches and we talked with our captains. We focused on having our starters staying on more often because of it. But I think that was kind of a good thing that actually happened.
Dr. Jones, we haven't heard from you.
I think one of the biggest changes that COVID had for the season was that there was no JV season for these girls. So we had a much larger squad. 19 girls that were coming to game after game, which normally that would be split into a slightly smaller varsity team and then a full JV team. So, we had a lot of girls that were getting some really good quality reps in a varsity style practice with those seniors that had been there for 4 years. So I think it changed the experience for those girls, but it also changes our experience moving forward because we had one squad of 19 where we might have had 2 of 24, 25 total. So there were some players that weren't able to join us, but would definitely be part of this program and would be moving forward. So I think it changed a lot in terms of the total squad. So
awesome. So I always like to talk to coaches with teams that dominate, and that's what y'all did this year. Congratulations again on such a dominant season. We mentioned it in the opening, 14-0. If I understand correctly, y'all were only down 3 sets all year. You only dropped 3 sets all year, and 2 of them were to Princess Anne, right, in a quarterfinal of the regional. So when you dominate that well, my question is, does that change how you coach and how you manage expectations, if at all?
Not so much expectations. The expectations are in there from the beginning. What we did is I've got a pretty talented group with me. So we were able to have, like, Bailey went and broke down the teams specifically to figure out where it is that they're going to attack us so we can set up our defense around it and give us a place to attack. Lisa was able to run the practices with the DSs or whatever was setting DSs. And I mean, being able to separate it and not having to worry about running stats while I'm trying to coach as well, it's huge. I mean, so working as a team, it helped us be able to focus on what our job was at hand.
Absolutely.
So with the PA game, though, I mean, how we manage it or how we approach it, no, I expect the same thing from the girls. The difference is how they react to the expectations. When they're dominating and playing a team, there's only so much energy you can give if you're not feeling like you're receiving the same energy back. A team like PA was relentless, so they had to step it up. I had players that stepped up that just kind of amazed me.
As a fellow coach, I coach basketball, not volleyball. Couldn't even begin to tell you anything about volleyball, but I know that when a team is rolling in basketball, humility is a hard thing to instill in athletes. Did you find that to be a challenge with this group at all, or do you just have a humble group of girls that are hungry?
Anybody want to take this
one? I think they were so hungry, and I think the first taste of the regional win and the recognition that came from that really sparked that in them. You kind of saw once we won that 5th set, it was kind of wide-eyed, oh, we're going to do this. And so that was definitely a hunger thing. And I think this group just wanted to do everything they possibly could to get the big win for the group. It was a very group-minded mindset going forward. If something wasn't working, we were going to switch it, whether that meant different personnel or just different plays or different focuses or emphasis in games. Whatever was going to help propel us to the win, they were willing to do it. And so I think that showed in practice and in games. But yes, they were very hungry. And so
yeah, we had a really limited amount of time to prepare for this season. I mean, we're talking one couple days of tryouts, a week and a half of practice, and then bam, game every Tuesday and Thursday for a month, tournament. Everything went really fast. But from the very first day of practice, Gus looked at the girls and was like, what is the goal for this team? And their goal was to go to states. And I think that is what they kept in mind every day to work towards it.
Wonderful. And again, congratulations on that. Not many teams, as a matter of fact, I don't know any Chesapeake team that can say they've gone as far as y'all did in states, right?
Not for volleyball.
Not for volleyball. So another accolade in the hat. I'm going to focus a little bit on the Princess Anne game because, in my opinion, that was arguably the biggest game on the schedule. And we just talked about that. Y'all didn't drop more than 1 set all year until that Princess Anne game. So the name Princess Anne for so many high school sports means something. Going up against Princess Anne means something. So what was the mindset and what was the coachability going into that game like, knowing how big of a game that was?
All right, I'll go into that. Can I get the girls' opinions as to how?
Yeah.
Hey, anybody want to share how it felt going into the Princess Anne game? Don't be afraid to talk.
I got it. I think going into the Princess Anne game, I think some of us, we were nervous. and we had those before game like jitters or whatever. But I definitely think like we had a team meeting, team chat before the game, and I could tell like on all of our faces that we were all ready to play. None of us were really nervous, and I made sure of that before we got on the court. And I told them, yeah, they're going to score points, they're going to win sets, but we can't let that determine how we play on the court. But yeah, Princess Anne was definitely the team to beat, and we came out with our best game I think the whole season, and we showed Princess Anne what we had in store. So.
I love that. All right, so we'll keep it with the coaches or with the players there. Anyone that wants to answer this question, feel free to chime in, as many people that want to. Did you want to expound upon the Princess Anne game? All right, a little bit of stage right. Okay.
Okay, so a lot of it was set up. A lot of it we do is set up by the captains. So we had 3 captains that were all seniors on this team. The Princess Anne game was big enough that we had one of the players that was supposed to leave, not be here for it, had to change her whole schedule to make sure that she was here. And that's the one that just talked. So to see that.
I mean, they were super hungry, and that just went to prove, this season was challenging, and it showed us, we definitely had a lot of people stepping up and people that were leaders on the team. For me, and I think the rest of the coaching staff, what came to mind when we knew we were going up against Princess Anne was just respect. Like, we knew that they were going to get some kills. We knew that they were going to play great defense. And we knew they're kind of one of those teams that someone graduates and you sigh with relief, and then someone else comes up. And so we knew that, whoever was on their roster was going to be a tough game. And so we did a lot of background work. We did a lot of scouting, and that definitely gave us an advantage about kind of knowing what their tendencies were. But we also had to perform, and the girls had to perform, and they actually had to execute it. And so for me, that was one of the most gratifying wins as a coach, because it was like we had this game plan, and we had done the work previous, and we had prepared them in practice, but they actually took what we suggested and put it into play. And so, and it worked out splendidly. Like, it was great. And so that was just really gratifying, and I'm sure they feel similarly. But yeah, I think respect and just coming at it and knowing that we couldn't be passive during that game. So,
okay. So before we get to the team, because the team, again, y'all are going to have a lot of time to talk, I've got one last question for the coaches. So you get through Princess Anne, all right? You take care of Atlee, and you move on to face Freedom for the state title. 3 straight set victories, not unforeign territory for y'all. It's pretty much how most of the season went, right? Talk to me about what it was like when that last attack attempt went long and y'all realized, holy crap, we're state champions. I saw the video, your hands raised to Jesus. I saw it, but I want to know from the mouth itself, how did that feel?
I was actually surprised that it ended with that. We were so ready to end it. The way the season had gone, I was ready to see just a kill. I thought it was going to be either, Sydney killing it from the outside, Ryan coming in running a quick. I was sure it was going to end with a kill. When they hit it out, I just knew our defense didn't give them a hole to be able to hit into, and they were trying to force. We had been trying to force them to hit line, and they hit it a couple times and connected on line. But trying to do that when the game is that far behind right now, and it was a close game, but I mean, you're down 2 sets, we knew that we had to force something from them. And when they hit that out, yeah, it was just when you can let go, because hey, they just did it. They did it.
Let's pass this down the line. Every coach, I need to hear it.
Do you want me to go first? I think leading up to that moment, we knew what we had, and we knew the talent that we had and the chemistry. And so it was always kind of like, hey, we might win a state title, and hey, we might be able to do this. And hey, if we play our game, we should be able to take care of this. But it was always like, okay, but let's not get let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's take every point as it comes. And so that moment, to be able to let all of it was relieving. It was like kind of, we had something to prove, and we proved it, and we got the job done. It was ours. I think to lose at that point, we were ahead. So just to be able to let go of all of the uncertainty and wanting to be focused and humble, and just be able to celebrate it was great. So
Yeah, for me, I think it was really more surreal than anything. This is my first season with Hickory. I was hired on as the JV coach, and then JV was canceled. So I kind of came in not knowing anything about the team, our opponents, nothing. Just fresh eyes and just ready to kind of take it all in. And I could tell from the very first day that we were a team with just multiple weapons and girls that can pick up the slack for others when they're having a tough time. And going into the Freedom game, I was actually less nervous than the PA game. It was kind of just like the fairy tale was coming to the end. The charter bus with the line of parents and fans, police escort to the interstate. I mean, I couldn't stop smiling all day after I didn't sleep all night because I was so nervous to miss the bus. But just winning that game, and then Freedom, they were a good school. The coach was a class act, and he congratulated us. And even he said that we just had too much going on. With it, it's hard to stop 5-6 people. Oh, Siri was. She's good.
All right, so let's pass the mic back because now I want to hear from the ladies. Ladies, again, congratulations on a great season. Y'all are the ones that did the work, right? The coaches just said it. We can implement a plan as much as we want, but if y'all don't execute the plan, who knows what could happen. But y'all executed 14 times this year and became state champions. So congratulations on that. So the question that I have that I wanted to make sure I get a lot of answers to, y'all were placed in a spot in the Princess Anne game that y'all were never placed in all year, and that was a match going to a fifth set. So I want to know, what was that huddle before the fifth game like? What went through y'all's minds, and how did y'all break it? Anybody, please, as many as possible.
In the fifth set, before, we were talking, and we knew that it could go either way. We knew that every point counted, and we couldn't make any mistakes, and we really just turned it on, and we all wanted it so bad.
I think in that huddle before the fifth set, everyone was very hungry and everyone wanted the win. Everyone was very tense, but I feel like we brought it out onto the court and just finished.
Something I always say to my teammates when I go into a third set or fifth set is just to play 3 games to 5. And if we just focus on each point at a time, it's easier to conquer. And I think that we were able to go out and fight for every single point. And that's what helped us to win.
Okay.
This way?
Come on, Sydney.
I'll give it to Dama here right as well. Yeah, you got to say something because you're working and you're talking. No, the going into the fifth set wasn't as scary as the fourth set. So the fourth set, we were down 2-1, and we told the girls that in our huddle, that was when we told them is, hey, if we win this set, we got to work to get this one because you can't go past it without this. But if we win this one, then we also get momentum. So going into the fifth set in the huddle, I didn't see the fear in their eyes. I didn't see the hesitation. They had just won the fourth set, and you could have thought that that was winning states just on the fourth set because we knew that meant we went to fifth. And going into that one with a little more confidence because we just beat them for the first time 2 games. We've had it previous in the past that we've met them, won the first set, and then lost the next 3. So this was to me kind of like, oh, it's coming back around if we're not careful. So we had to make little adjustments. But then when they took that fourth set, gained momentum, you could see it in the huddle that now they were ready for it. It's going to be a battle. Dominique?
In the huddle, I felt like we were all just hungry and ready to win the regional title. And yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next question for the ladies is, if you could put, and everyone has to answer this question, every single person. All right. So we're going to go all the way down. So I want you to think back to the first practice of the season. There's no wins, there's no losses, there's only work ahead. And I want you to think to where you were when you hoisted the trophy as state champions. And I want you to describe the journey that y'all made together in one word. Yeah, one word. It's okay if they repeat.
A little pressure.
Y'all are big time now. You
Hungry?
got to get used to interviews.
Hungry.
Okay. Proud? I think someone might have flipped.
I think we were excited because this was the only team in Chesapeake to ever win a state title in volleyball. So I feel like that was
Exciting.
Fierce.
Fierce.
Memorable.
Unforgettable.
Unforgettable.
Determined.
Probably very very determined. Everyone just has that look in their eye. Like everyone wanted to go after it, and we all set our mind to it. So I think, yeah.
I would say strength, because a lot of people play club at the same time. So to not like get burnt out and still work hard at every practice and in the games was like, took a lot of strength.
Memorable.
I'd say hardworking, because we all worked really hard.
Awesome. All right. Well, after that delayed display of vocabulary there, let's go with three players. Three players can answer this question, and any three can answer what y'all did. Again, so many of y'all said it in that last question. The first Chesapeake team to win a volleyball state title. The first Chesapeake team. That is now part of y'all's legacy, whether you realize it or not. There will only be one first. Only one person can do one thing the first time, and that's y'all. So what I want to know from three of y'all, whoever it is, what does it feel like to set the bar for everyone that's going to come behind you?
It definitely feels it's a big accomplishment for our whole team and for Hickory just in the school. It was, I just don't know how to really explain it. We did it, we got it done, and setting this high standard for even another Chesapeake team behind us to even accomplish something that we accomplished is a big thing for any other team to hopefully do again in Chesapeake.
Absolutely.
I think in this kind of season where we had to deal with a lot of boundaries or had to overcome a lot of boundaries, it makes it even more memorable. And I don't know, with this group of girls, I think it was the perfect year.
And I don't want to change subject, but weren't you supposed to be at prom?
No.
Okay.
I think it was just so memorable, and I think that other teams look up to us now. Other Chesapeake teams look up to us, and so many people while we were going through this journey, even if it wasn't from Hickory, just other Chesapeake teams were on our side. It was Hickory. It was Chesapeake against everybody else, and I just think it was so cool to see everyone almost come together, not just Hickory, but all of Chesapeake.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say that I think it's really awesome that they were able to set the bar that high, and I think it's a really good thing, not just for them, but for the school and the program, because there was a point in time where we would show up to a game and we'd be like, oh man, it's Princess Anne. Like they're always good, But now that's us. Now people are going to be like, oh, we're playing Hickory. Like they're good. And now we have the proof to back that up.
Yeah. So one of the cool things that we as coaches were dealing with every time we played an opponent, after we were able to win a game against the opponent and knock them out, it was really great to hear the opponents would come to us and say, hey, we hope you guys take it all the way because you guys are talented. I cannot tell you how often every one of these coaches just gave these girls, accolades. It was just great to hear from them. If we beat them, that the coaches would come and, you know what, we hope it. Woodside did it. PA did it. Every one of these athletes did it. The minute that once we played them, they were like, hey, we're behind you guys. We're on the trip with you. It was kind of cool to hear them.
Their parents clapped us out of the gym and wished us good luck.
That's awesome. Almost like a community.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
As far as setting the bar high, the bar is set. We have another group of girls that are going to try to see if they can't match that bar. We have 3 seniors that were graduating. So I think all the other girls over here are still hungry.
Right. And I just want to point out one thing that I've taken away from this whole thing. There may be another Chesapeake team that goes on and wins states in volleyball. And the one question y'all will always be able to ask is, but did you lose? Because y'all were undefeated. Like, y'all have set the bar at the highest possible standard, and that is never going to die. So, again, just major congratulations on that. So I'm going to end the team segment before we get into a little bit of the player interviews that I wanted to get to with kind of a little bit of humor, maybe to me, maybe not to y'all. Going down the roster, looking at all the stats, y'all have 3 Sydneys on the team. No distinction in spelling or nothing, just different last names. So I have to ask, are there nicknames for all the Sydneys? And if so, what are they? Just their last. Sydney H, Cindy L. Setter Sydney? That's a mouthful.
The problem wasn't with talking to the Sydneys on the court. The problem was more when we would set up the stats page than them having to do because I have a stats page set up in a certain order. And then I had one coach turn around, no, I got to change this order. It's got to make more sense for me in this order. So it was more that with the Sydneys. So it was pretty, the games that really challenged us were the ones that we would have when 2 of the Sydneys would be on the court. Then that became an issue.
Absolutely. Coach?
As the new girl, I was actually a fan of all the Sydneys. If there could be more, so I have to remember less names, that would be better.
Sydney cubed. All right, so now we're going to make a little transition, coaches. If you'd like to make your way out, I need Sydney Love, Rain Manning, and Ryan Love. Take a chair.
Let's go.
Yeah, just right there's fine. All right. Well, welcome to the main stage. A little shock there. It's all right. This means y'all are still on fire. All right. So if I told you that y'all scored 783 points as a team, what percentage of that do you think came from you 3 ladies? I have the answer. Just give me an educated guess. The stat sheet still requires you to do math.
My guess is going to be 60%.
Okay.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Then 65. 60, I don't know.
63.
63. All right. Well, it actually was 65%. So keeping the winning streak going. So the question has to be asked, as someone who doesn't follow volleyball a lot, but knows enough to know that 65% of any team's total scoring coming from 3 of their athletes means something. How much time have y'all played volleyball together?
Pretty much since middle school, I think. When I was in 6th grade, Ryan was in 7th, and Sydney was in 8th.
Okay. So y'all came up from the middle school team and kept going all the way through? Okay. So that means that y'all must have a lot of chemistry together. what is that like on the court, having a teammate that you know is going to be in the right spots all the time?
I think it's so fun. It's always laughs between us and like the whole team, honestly. But
Sydney?
Yeah. When we're on the court, like usually me and Rain just flip flop. When I'm front row, she's back row. So when I'm front row, I know I can get the job done, and when she's back row, I know she's always there. Like if we're out of system, we have a killer back row attack, so she's always there. And then when Rye's front row with me, we're just there. We're trying to shut down the other hitter, trying to block them. But yeah.
Yes, being on court with Sydney and Rain, I know that they will both be there where they need to be, and that I can always count on them.
Awesome. All right, so Sydney, you led the team in kills this year with 142. In the Princess Anne game, you had 20, which tied your season high. You also had 20 kills against Western Branch. All right, so what goes in to being such a great hitter? Because that amount of kills in any season is phenomenal. So what goes into being a great hitter as far as work ethic and specifics that you work on?
I think the endless amount of time and effort that I put into the gym, and I'm always in the gym 3 days out of the week. And then on top of that, I'm trying to do extra sessions and specialty sessions with my other coaches at Beach Elite. And then if I'm at UNOT school ball, I'm always trying to get extra touches. Either if I'm there early, I'll hit up against the wall. And it's really just a big thing for me about technique. I work on technique, and then that shows out on the court, how I pursue it and how I handle it.
Okay. And a follow-up question, a little bit off topic, but you've committed to Elon, so you're going to be a Phoenix in the fall. What went into that decision, and why Elon? What was the process in choosing a college? I know you probably had options. Mm-hmm. So what was that process like, being vetted by schools, and what ultimately led you to just choose Elon?
At the beginning of my recruiting process, I had no clue what Elon was. My recruiting director at Beach Elite, Tanya Bozer, she had a great impact on my recruiting process. She helped me a ton. She just sent a bunch of schools towards my way, and Elon really stood out to me. I just researched all the schools and looked at the campus at the beginning. And Elon had a beautiful campus. And then I started talking to the coaches a bunch, and they came to almost all of my games. They're always there. And when I was on the phone call with them, they were just so easy to talk to. I felt like I knew them for a long time. And then when I went on campus, I was able to meet a couple of the girls right before COVID happened. And I just fell in love with the campus, and the girls were so welcoming that I just felt like it was a good place for me to be.
Wonderful. So my next question is for Rain. Rain, you led the team in aces this year with 41, and that seems like a high number. I saw the stats. So the first word that came to my mind when I saw that stat was sniper, right? Oh. You've got to have pinpoint accuracy and know where the ball's going every time you toss it to be hit. What type of technique and what type of drilling and training goes through being that effective as a server?
Well,
oh, you're just naturally gifted?
No. Well, I mean, all of my coaches, especially Coach Gus, they always preach to us to improve and do what you can and what you think you need to do. So one of those was my serve, and he had tons of drills for us to do, and I just worked on that mostly.
Okay. And Ryan, I'm sorry, you contributed a fair share in multiple categories all across the board. So the word that came to my mind when I looked at your stat sheet was versatile, right? But I want to know from you, what part of your game would you say is your strongest?
I would say that my strongest part of my game is being a front row hitter. That is where I score most of my points, between that and blocking.
Between that and blocking?
Yes.
Okay. And before we bring up two new athletes up here in Ashley Capolongo and Grace Williams, Sydney, this is your last year. You're moving forward, and I wanted to give you an opportunity in front of your teammates, your family, your friends, and the internet. Any words of advice for the team next year, and any parting words you have for such a great group of girls?
We worked really hard all season, and I think with me, Grace, and Ashley leaving, that shouldn't be the factor that y'all say that there's no way that you guys can do it again, because everyone on this team has so much talent. And I believe that y'all can do this again. You just have to work hard, and hopefully you guys get a longer season next year. Even though our season was short, we definitely, I mean, it felt short, but in the long run, it felt like a regular season to me, just because how far we went into it. But I definitely think that y'all can do it again if you keep practicing hard, and you got it.
There you go.
I believe in you.
Rain, Ryan, any last words?
I'm very proud of us. I think that we had a great season and that we just need to continue it into next year.
Hawk yeah.
Hawk yeah. All right, let's get Ashley Capolongo and Grace Williams down here. Go. All right, so I'm going to start with Ashley. Ashley, I don't know if you know this or not. You probably do. Y'all seem very aware of your own stats, but you led the team in assists with 216. That's a large number. That's a large number. So the one word that came to my mind looking at your stat sheet was proficient. Very proficient. What goes into you honing that craft of being such a good setup teammate?
Well, I put a lot of hours into setting. And one major thing was Coach Bailey. I would go in either early or sometime before or after practice, and she would just toss ball to me, and I would just set 50 in a row to the outside, 50, like just to get that constant like feeling. And I feel like that really helps with being like precise and eventually connecting with my hitters and like clicking with the whole team. It really just like brought it all together.
Okay. Well said. Effective attack percentage, kill ratio, percentage of aces, that's all good, but defense wins championships, right? So that brings me to Grace. Miss Grace, you led the team in digs with 179. All right. The next closest on the team was 130. So that means that you are an assassin when teams are trying to kill. So I want to know, the word that came to my mind was athletic. I know what a dig is. I've seen it. And I know that there has to be a lot of coordination. There has to be a lot of, anticipation and things like that. So how do you train for a position that possesses so many skills that most people say can't be taught? I guess would say hand-eye coordination, anticipation, knowing where to be are intangibles that cannot be taught. So what do you work on to maintain that level of success?
I also find that like keeping myself in the gym, and I've been playing since I was 13. So just like you learn watching people's bodies and like watching their arms and where they're going to hit, you get like this, you just kind of know. And I think another aspect to it is mentality. Like if I have to make sure I'm in the right mindset and like say to myself, I'm going to get this ball up, and I can't be any kind of negative towards myself, because then it'll reflect on the court.
Okay. And like we did with the last three, Ashley, Grace, do y'all have anything y'all like to say to the team moving forward for next year?
Okay. I'm really thankful for this group of girls, and to be here with like as a senior with Ashley and Sydney, and we've been just like together for so long. It just feels like the perfect time, and I'm excited for the next years to watch you guys.
I agree. The whole team everyone pushed each other in practice harder each day, every day. Playing with Sydney and Grace for the past 7 years, it just felt like the perfect way to end it. Like we'd been waiting for so long. We've wanted it, and to finish it out together was just perfect.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. And again, congratulations. Coaches, I'll have y'all back for a second if you don't mind. So for this one, we're going to start down at the end and finish with the head honcho himself. You have said nary a word. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. So as I was sitting down writing the notes for this show, all the stats were great. All the storylines were great. And I was trying to figure out how to end the show. And nothing that I came up with in my head felt right because this is not my squad. So the way I want to end the show is I want to give y'all coaches an opportunity to say one last thing to your team. And whatever it is, roll with it. So we'll start at the end. We'll get to Gus. And when Gus is finished, we'll close out the show.
So we'll end with a crier. Okay. I have seen Sydney and these guys since they were freshmen, and how they have grown over the last 4 years is amazing. They have all matured on the court, off the court. I'm just really proud of them and how far they've come.
Very similar. I had some of these girls, those 3 girls at 15s 4 years ago. So that was super cool to end their high school careers like this. I've seen almost every other one of them in the gym at some point or another. So I think, for me, I've always had commitments left and right. And so to be able to step on into a really good coaching staff with a great team that truly had no weaknesses and go on this journey with them was amazing. And I wish you guys all the best for next year. And I hope you bring home another title.
I've just been really honored to work with everybody, coaches and players. I couldn't think of a better squad of girls to set a really good example for my daughter. She looks up to all of them. She goes home and practices her volleyball clothes and her volleyball hair because she wants to be just like the girls. And I couldn't think of more strong, beautiful, dedicated women for her to look up to. So thank you. And I'm really excited for next year.
More than anything else, I appreciate that they bought into the concept. Early on, we said that we have to play for what we can accomplish, not for me as a person, not for them individually. We told them the main thing was that they have to fight for each other. They worked hard on the court because they were playing for each other. If somebody was down, somebody else was willing to pick them up. Somebody else was willing to step in and take a lead role. So it was all about what we can do, not what Amy can do.
Awesome. All right. And with that, we will conclude our night and evening with champions. Again, please give it up for the undefeated state champion Hickory High School volleyball team. Thank you all that were in attendance for your attentive nature. Thank you all that were online. A lot of action going on there. This will, of course, be available for an episode anywhere you get podcasts starting tonight at midnight. As Brandon Johnson with Sports with BJ, we thank you so much and have a great night.